don't let Christopher drink. He's going to steal your car and go another state or something. As car guys, we often end up with cars we can't explain. Why did you buy this? How did you get it? What did you trade for it? Etc. But this is a story about a time I ended up not with a car I couldn't explain. It was a car that wasn't mine, and I could not explain why I had it, or why I had the keys in my pocket, or why I woke up in a trailer in Alabama with no knowledge of how I got there. As I've said before, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs. I have an occasional social drink, but I've never been one to drink to excess, and it all goes back to this particular story. Now, I am 16 years old, and as teenagers often do, we are eager to explore the many, trappings of the adult world. You want to drink, you want to try things, you want to do things to be grown up. And, living in a small town in a dry county, there were not a lot of opportunities to do things like drink or get into the kind of trouble teenagers often get into. But I had one friend whose mother was divorced, and that was relatively uncommon. Nobody's parents were ever gone. Like there were none of these like John Hughes movie house parties, like Weird Science or Pretty in Pink or something. Like we didn't have these parties you saw in all these movies. Like nobody's parents ever left town. Well, my friend's mother was seeing somebody out of town, so therefore we would get left at the house like over the weekend. Like that was unheard of to have that amount of freedom to get into trouble. He had an older brother and we had access to alcohol and a few things like that. So we took it upon ourselves one weekend that we were going to like learn to do drinking games and learn to drink and be cool. So neither one of us had much experience with this at all. So we don't really know what we're doing other than that we're just drinking things and bouncing ping pong balls into cups and coming up with all. It's just the two of us. We're not smart enough to invite girls or anybody else. It's just two idiots. They're going to teach themselves to drink. So, with very little experience at this, we rapidly are not feeling good and are pretty sleepy and have gotten ourselves ridiculously drunk with no idea what we're doing. He had this couch at his house. We called it the frog because it was like this sort of green, kind of textured naugahyde. And the last thing I remember, he had staggered off to his room. I'm spending the night at his house, and we both worked at this little pizza joint together. We had to work the next day. It's the summertime. So, the next thing I remember is I wake up and I'm on a couch, but it's not the frog. It's not that couch. It's some gross, itchy, plaid, kind of tweed, burlappy type couch. I'm like, what's this? And I'm kind of looking around and I'm in somebody's like single wide trailer somewhere. I grew up in the country. I had lots of friends that lived in trailers. Nothing wrong with that. But this was not a trailer belonging to anybody that I knew. I kind of stand up and kind of, take stock of myself. I got my wallet, got my pocket knife, got my handkerchief. I got car keys in my pocket, but they aren't my car keys. And I look, and there's nobody seemingly in this trailer. And I kind of look out the front door, and my friend Andy, it's his truck, is sitting outside. I'm like, oh, good, Andy's here somewhere. Where did we go? Like, I don't remember. Like, neither one of us were like, we weren't gonna like drink and drive. That's not cool. We're not down with that at all. We'd lost several friends to drinking and driving. We would never do that. Somehow we got here. Why do I have the keys to? Andy had this little Ford Ranger, little extended cab Ford Ranger. So I'm kind of looking around a little confused, and I'm extra confused because kind of out of this trailer park I'm in, I look over the tree line and there's like an 8-story building sticking up over the trees. Now, there was not a building taller than 3 stories in the entire county I lived in. So, like, I am off the map all of a sudden. And again, I'm 16 years old. So I'm kind of like, okay, this is weird. And about that time, I hear like somebody moving, somebody goes to the bathroom back in the hallway. I'm like, oh, good, it must be Andy. Well, some guy comes out. He's older than me. I'm like 16. This guy is like maybe 22, 23, older guy. And I was like, hey man, how's it going? He's like, oh yeah, you're awake. I said, yeah, where's Andy? He's like, I don't know Andy. He said, you must have come with Rob. I was like, I don't know Rob. He goes, well, I think he dropped you off here after their party. It's like, I didn't go to a party. I said, do you know where's the guy that owns this truck? He said, it was just you. I was like this is just like gears in my head turning. I cannot make any sense of this. I'm just completely bewildered. I'm like, dude, this is kind of weird. Like, where am I at? He's like, oh, you're Jack. I was like, where Jack? He's like, Jacksonville, Jack State, Alabama. Like, I live in Georgia. I don't even know where this place is. Like, it's some college. And apparently I had not been. I said, was I at? He said, I think you were asleep. But like, he had seen me asleep at some party and somehow I ended up on his couch. And some guy named Rob dropped me off on his couch. He said, oh, yeah, he hooked up with some girl, man. He dropped you off here. I don't know where he's at. I'm like, holy crap. Like, I cannot process this. I don't want to leave because, my friend Andy's somewhere. I've got his truck and his keys. I can't leave Andy in Alabama. The guy didn't even have a phone. Like, it's just some college thing. He didn't even have a phone. And this is in like 1989, 1990, probably. I'm like 16 years old. So, like, this is way before cell phones or anything like that. So, I like, get in the truck and there's a convenience store up on the corner. I go to the convenience store, like, break a dollar, take whatever, $1.75, whatever it took to make a long distance phone call back then. And thankfully, it was back in the days before cell phones. You still knew people's numbers. So, I just called Andy's house back in Georgia and he answered. And I'm like, you're home. He's like, of course I'm home. Where are you? I'm like, I don't know how to tell you this, but I have your truck and I'm in Alabama. And he's like, what? And like, he's mad. I'm like, dude, I don't know. I don't drink and drive. Like, I don't know. I was on the Frog. I fell asleep on the Frog. I woke up here. He's like, dude, well, he's livid. I'm like, look, man, I'm really sorry. He's like, you're like 2 hours away. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get back as soon as possible. He's like, I got to go to work. I said, look, I had a Volkswagen at the time that you could just crank with a screwdriver. I'm like, look, just take my car, you go to work. I wasn't supposed to work till later. I was like, you take my car to work and I'll catch up with you. And he's mad. He's hanging the phone up. I feel like some like these movies, like some guy turns into a werewolf, like, stop me before I kill again. Like, what did I do? Like, what sort of craziness in me did I somehow get in a car, somebody else's car, drive 2 hours to a college I'd never heard of, drunk apparently, go to some party or sleep at some party and end up at some dude's trailer? Like, how did this happen? Like, this is like, I've been like possessed or have amnesia. Like, my mind is blown. So I have to like literally like, get a map and figure out how to get back to Georgia from where I was. I drive back and of course I, took my friend his truck and he's mad. And, but, as friends do, we worked it out. It kind of blew over and it became kind of a funny anecdote. Of course, people are teasing me about this. And this is the summertime. This is June, July, something like this. So we're still friends. The story comes up occasionally. Oh yeah, don't let Christopher drink. He's gonna steal your car and go another state or something. So it's fall sometime, fall break, Thanksgiving, something like that. Andy's older brother, Bobby, who went to college in Atlanta, he was in town for the holidays. And he comes in, and I knew him. He was an older guy from our school. I knew he was, but we were never friends or anything. But he comes in, he sees me, and he's like, you made it back from Alabama. And he kind of laughs. I'm like, yeah, everybody knows the story. I'm a monster. And he's like, yeah, man, we didn't think you were ever going to wake up. I was like, whoa. Like, you got some info on this? Like, how did I get there? How did I drive all the way there? And he just starts laughing so hard. He won't stop laughing. I'm like, what do you know? How did I get there? How did I drive to Alabama? How did I make it to some party? How did I end up? Who dropped me out? So he finally stops laughing and telling me this story. Bobby, aka Rob had been going to Georgia State, had a friend there that knew of some big party that was happening in Jacksonville, Alabama at Jack State University. Bobby, aka Rob, had this really cool car. It was one of these the Dodge Daytona coupes from the '80s. It was the one that Frank Sinatra drove in Cannonball Run 2, kind of the turbo coupe thing. And he had one. Well, they were driving to Jacksonville from wherever it is they were at, and that kind of took them near my hometown. And that car was having some overheating issue, some kind of issue. So they decided they were going to swing through our hometown, get Andy's truck, and then just follow the Daytona to get to the party. And that way, if the car died, they could keep it going in the truck. But apparently the car made it. And when they got to Andy's house, like, we're two idiots passed out on the couches. So we're passed out. They decide that, okay, somebody's got to bring the truck back. They were going to take Andy, but they looked on their fridge and they could see he was scheduled to work that day, the next day. So they just took me, literally kidnapped me, put me in a car and just drove me to Alabama, went to this party, must have taken me inside. I can't believe I didn't wake up with Sharpie marker on my face or something. Went to the party, kept me as their return driver. Then Rob met some girl, so he just dropped me off at his friend's trailer, left me on the couch, put the keys in my pocket, didn't pin a note to my shirt or anything. And then he took off with the girl, just not thinking that I was going to wake up and have no idea how I got there. This is like discovering that you have superpowers or something. Like discovering that I didn't actually drunk drive to another state was a huge weight off my chest because like I'm not down with that at all. So that alone was worth the whole experience just to know that I didn't drunk drive somewhere. But I did learn a valuable lesson. When you drink so much that you can wake up in another state with somebody else's car and no knowledge how you got there, you shouldn't be drinking so much. So at the tender age of 16, I kind of put away my desire to ever drink past the point of just having one after dinner because crazy things like this happen in cars.
We love Caffeine and Octane as our local Atlanta monthly Cars and Coffee meetup. We actually just shot some Car Trek episodes at their new racetrack they just bought, the Caffeine and Octane Raceplex across from Road Atlanta in Brazelton. You've also seen their television show, Caffeine and Octane, and the next series of that airs soon on Motor Trend. But the coolest thing that they've done lately is launching the High Octane free streaming services. You can get all the episodes of their series plus content from creators like That Dude in Blue and some extra VINwiki content on any smart TV, on your computer, Fire Stick, Roku, any way you access it. It gives you more automotive content than you could possibly imagine from the comfort of your couch, staring at your large television. So please check it out at the link in the description below to thank Caffeine and Octane for their support of VINwiki.